Hello, everybody, and welcome to Benivo Bites, the world's first mobility tech show. And we have got such a great show for you today. We've got all sorts of things lined up. It's just going to be a fabulous show that we've got lined up. You know how it is, everybody. Join the conversation, write in the comments box, tell us who you are, where you are. I see Anthony there's from Connecticut. I saw people from Bangalore. We got Adam coming in from Pittsburgh, and it's sunny out in Pittsburgh. We're getting weather reports from all around the world, from Henri, from France. People are coming in from all the world. It's just so great to have you all today. And we've got a really big show for you today. We're going to be talking about digital transformation. We're going to be talking about how we can use technology to really redefine global mobility. Now, some of you may remember we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we had 3 case studies on how specific real-life companies were using technology to transform their mobility policies. And we've got 3 new case studies to talk to you about today, and we'll try and pull them all together. But it's a really, really exciting subject. I mean, certainly, I feel very strongly, I think I've probably said this many times on the show, that it's crazy that we don't have as good technology in our work life as we do in our everyday life, that we get better technology when we're ordering a pizza than when managing a relocation. And that's certainly the mission that we're on, is to bring consumer grade technology to the relocation profession. And we'll show you some really exciting live examples in a short while. So what else have we got? Well, next week, we've got another fascinating show. Next week, we're going to be talking about the future of work and personalized reward, and taking that concept of flex and really putting it into the remuneration package, not just of assignees, but of all employees. So we've got lots of things going on. What's that from Christina? Quarantined here in Veracruz. Oh, so sorry to hear that. 2.5 years in and it happened. COVID positive, but excited to listen. Well, Christina, from the whole community, we wish you better soon. So we're going to be talking about the future of work next week. But one of the other things, of course, that's so great about this show is that you can get your CPE codes. So when you want to get your CPE codes from Worldwide ERC, whether you want to get them from SHRM, whether you get them from HRCI, we can give you those credits. And we're delighted that our good friends at ERC provide us with the ERC, the GMS and the CRP credits, and our good friends at Rocket Mortgage provide you with the HRCI and the SHRM credits. And those are the credits there. So if you want the credits, then just take a screenshot of this or get your phone out and take a picture of it. I'll leave this up there for a second or two so that you can get those credits if you want them. So we've got people coming in from all over the world, which is lovely. So I think probably we ought to get cracking with the show, because there is so much to talk about. Now, one of the things we try and do every week is to give you a little bit of breaking news. What's going on? What's new in the industry? So let's do that. Let's just find out what is our breaking news from the last 7 days. So many congratulations to everybody out there who has been promoted or who has moved job or has got some other news. A special shout out, I suppose, to my good friend Dick Burke, who won the EY Entrepreneur of the Year award in his region. So many, many congratulations to Dick and to everybody at Envoy Global. And as I said, congratulations to everybody who's been promoted or moved job. If you've got some news you'd like to share with the industry, then do message me, drop me a line, and we'll try and make sure that we cover you in one of our future week's broadcasts. So that's all the news for the week. What I'd like to do now, of course, is to move on to immigration. We have Julia Onslow-Cole back with us. She was away last week. I think a lot of people missed the regular weekly update, but Julia is now back with us and back in our green room. So everybody, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's give a really big old-fashioned round of applause, a big welcome to Julia Onslow-Cole as we bring her on stage to talk about all the latest immigration updates.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, welcome back to the less sunny UK. Where were you on your holiday?
Oh, in Greece, actually. Yes, it was really lovely. Yes, went with all the family. Yes, there was 8 of us. It was very nice.
Wow. And of course, I know you're going to be doing a global update and you're going to be talking about travel. I assume your travel went smoothly, no lost suitcases or queues?
No, it was really good. Yes. I was telling Eric earlier that actually, I think it's confined to certain terminals, so it's in the UK. So, poor people that have lost their luggage, but we were thankfully all right.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this week's global update.
Yeah, so I just want to catch up on 4 trends. And the first trend is really about the increase in business travel. And I know that Jen Fackelman, she's with us today, and she's just joined us live from the Business Travel Show. And everything is showing that travel's really picked up. And I was saying to Brian earlier that it was really funny when you look back at the very start of Benivo. I remember every week we used to ask, when do you think travel will be picking up to the levels post the start of the pandemic?
Right. We thought it's just going to be a few months, didn't we? Thought, we'll be back to normal in 3 months or 6 months. And the pessimists out there were going for a year. But in fact, it's been, what are we talking about? 2.5 years, maybe?
2.5 years. And I remember telling you it was definitely going to be 6 months. So it was really, I was out by 2 years, unfortunately. But there is a lot of problems globally. And one of the problems we did discuss the other week, the problems with staffing that airlines and airports are very complex in that there's a lot of different vendors, baggage handlers, etc. So it's a complex weave of different companies. But also there's a huge row going on about landing charges. It's not just in the UK, but it's globally. So during the pandemic, airports around the world charged airlines an extra premium for landing slots because, there wasn't so many travelers. And now airlines are saying, well, we pass those costs on to our travelers, and they're really hurting with how much they're having to pay for airfares, and they're not having such a brilliant service because of all the problems of recruitment, etc. So we don't want to pay all this money for the landing charges. So there's this huge row going on at the moment.
And how does that impact the traveller?
It impacts the traveller really because it just adds to the disruption, the uncertainty. There's talks of industrial action all across the industry. Still, we're settling down with all the quarantine and COVID rules. And so it's just really worth mentioning as another disrupting factor. The second thing...
Just as we thought we can get back on flights, there aren't any flights.
Yeah, exactly. So the second thing I wanted to say is that, again, and this is a big theme, and of course, this is Benivo Bytes, so it's always going to be about, the latest technology. and it's all about how you can really use technology for a fantastic global mobility experience. But on the other end of this, there has been some rather sort of sinister developments on the back of digitalization in some countries. So, you know, there is sort of some allegations that perhaps, you know, the COVID app that's being used, the health code in China, could possibly be used for other purposes than travel. So there are people who are saying
that sounds sinister.
Yeah, that, you know, they have had the app, you know, turn a different color, which means they have to go home and they have to quarantine, or they have to go into a government facility. And they say you know, it wasn't for health reasons, and it was perhaps because they were wanting to join a protest or something. And I'm not sure, you know, whether these are true, but I mean, I think it just highlights that there are different usages for some of this digitalization, and, you know, that there was, you know, quite a controversy for some time about the use of facial recognition in immigration processes. And then this is just a sort of continuation. The other thing I want to say, and this is like really up before it even happens, is that inflation is rising globally. And I think that this will have an impact on immigration. I can't say that it's a point to any countries, but the reason I say this is that many, many countries have minimum wage requirements. And with inflation, those governments will certainly look at the requirements that they're saying that they're set before you can get visas. And I think they will go up. So that's something that companies need to be aware of.
So you could argue that the other way around. So you think the governments will move first to put up the minimum wage requirements before the salaries of the people who were looking to go have gone? Because it could work the other way. Of course, salaries could go up and the government doesn't move their minimum wage. And so people's salaries, it becomes easier to come in because your salaries are higher.
But I think that the general trend, what we are seeing as a general trend, is that wages are starting to rise. Obviously not in the public sector, but in the private sector, they are starting to rise. And then the government's job with the immigration policy is to protect resident labour. So they would then rise the salary levels. But obviously, if the companies whose salaries haven't risen, that's really tough. But as I say, I think, you know, we're just seeing the very beginning of this trend. So the final thing I wanted to mention was the Permits Foundation and the highlight, you know, the importance of dependents having rights to work. And Helen Frew, who chairs the Permit Foundation, and her colleagues have produced an amazing survey, and the report is going to be out in the next couple of days. And it's a really comprehensive study of what global mobility professionals think about this issue of dependents having a right to work and whether or not it puts people off for assignments. And I think as a general trend post-COVID, we've seen individual assignees be much more concerned about, you know, bringing their dependents, and much more concerned about, you know, what's happening as a family unit. And unsurprisingly, 60% of people surveyed said this was an increasing trend, and over 60% said that, you know, assignments were being turned down because dependents didn't have the right to work. And the three countries they mentioned as being particularly impactful for them was China, India, and the US. And I think in the US, that's a reflection as well of the EAD issues over the summer.
Three pretty big countries we're talking about there.
Exactly, pretty big companies. It just shows you really, if these were the top three and there was 8 in it all, you know, how widespread this is, and how good it is really that the Permits Foundation are really doing all these things about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great organisation, the Permits Foundation. They do a lot of great work. Yeah,
I am biased because I'm on their board, but I do think they're absolutely fantastic.
Okay, if anybody needs any further information on the Permits Foundation, I'm sure they can reach out to you, Julia, through
yes.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, lovely.
So, Julia, thank you so much for your update as ever. We're now going to move on, and we've got Tally joining us for an update. So, everybody, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's say cheerio to Julia Onslow-Cole and hello to Tally Gorin. So, Julia, it's cheerio time. And where's Tally? Let's bring Tally on stream. Tally, hi.
Hi, Brian. Hi. I have a lot to tell you, but how about we first move to our changemaker, which is a bit different this time.
Absolutely, because our changemaker is in Australia and it would have been crazy o'clock for her. So earlier today, we actually recorded our changemaker section. So let's meet our changemaker. And welcome to the show. We have Jenny Buxey all the way from
Perth, Australia.
Okay, now that doesn't sound like an Aussie accent to me. So tell me a bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Thanks, Brian. So originally from Scotland, but have an English accent. Started my career in the UK with 2 of the big 4 doing employment taxes, then had a meandering pathway through international payroll, expat tax, came out to Australia with PwC doing international taxes, and then became a relocation consultant and have come back into global mobility. So got quite a varied background.
So you've really been both sides of the fence, which is
absolutely
amazing. And I see you're not just living the Australian dream, but you're living the company. I can see you've got the,
yes.
you're wearing the corporate shirt. I can see the logo there. So tell us a bit about South 32, because there may be people out there that don't know the company that well.
Yeah, absolutely. So South 32 are a mining company. We came out of BHP, which people may have heard about in 2015, divested from them. And we work in natural resources. So have multiple countries where we have operations in. And the name itself comes from where we have the main bulk of the work in Australia and South Africa and the main footprint. So that's why it's South 32. Because it's to do with the parallel.
Got it. So okay, so your major locations on the 32nd parallel. Okay,
yeah,
that's a really cool name. I like that. I would call a company whatever parallel I'm on. I'm not sure. I've got no idea what it is. Go look it up. But anyway, Jenny, you're one of our change makers, which is just wonderful. And you know, our change makers are people who've got a passion for technology and also a passion for doing good. So let's talk about your passion for technology. Tell me, what is it about, you know, technology that excites you in our industry?
I think it's just the fast pace that technology goes through. We see it in so many different other areas. So on mine sites, for example, we see the autonomous vehicles and things, but we don't really see as much technology focus being given in the global mobility world. So really excited to see how much we can really push this with the Benivo change makers and see what differences we can make to our daily lives working in the global mobility field.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking my language here. I mean, as I've probably said on this show 1,000 times, it just gets my goat that I get better technology when I'm ordering a pizza than when I'm managing a relocation, or at least I did before Benivo came along, but I'm biased. But is that the same sort of thing that you're feeling that we ought to be getting this sort of consumer grade technology into our industry?
Absolutely. I can order an Uber. Yeah, I can order an Uber on my phone. I can order food. You know, we should be able to do so much more and not have that consistent repetitiveness, having to spend so much time doing menial admin tasks that I think could be, you know, helped with great technology. And I'd love to see where we can end up over the next coming years. So
yeah, we're discussing it on the show in a moment later on, but certainly when we did a survey on it, the biggest bugbear that people seem to have is the fact that they have to input the same data time and time again. And that is not anything that, that's something that can be easily cured. But this fact that we just do repetitive tasks is, I suppose, it's madness. We need to move our industry on beyond that. So Jenny, the other reason that obviously you're a change maker is you've got a passion for technology, but you've also got a passion for charity. So I noticed that the charity that you support is Ovarian Cancer Australia. So tell us a bit about the charity and and why they're so dear to your heart.
Yeah, so they support and care for those affected by ovarian cancer, as well as leading the change to create better outcomes for those that are impacted. And I can see a sort of mirror there with the Benivo changemakers. The network is about making changes to the technology in the GM space. Ovarian cancer is sadly the deadliest women's cancer in the world, and something that's very close to my heart after losing my mum to it a few years ago. So it's certainly something I'm passionate about.
Okay, well, thank you on our behalf for being a change maker, and thank you for all the good that you do with Ovarian Cancer Australia and also your passion for technology. Jenny, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today, and look forward to catching up with you another time. We're now going to move on with the rest of the show, but everybody out there, let's hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's say a big thank you to Jenny Buxey for being on the show today. Thank you very much, Jenny, and take care. Goodbye.
Thanks, Brian. Bye now. Bye all.
Right.
Okay, good. We're back to
Jenny, and what are you going to talk to us about today?
We're back to Bulgaria, US, California, and London. That's easier. But today, I want to invite our viewers to our comparison session. And Brian, in these sessions, we're running a poll. And did you know that in this poll, we actually ask people why did they choose the solution that they choose? And in fact, about 70% of the people never even questioned the solution. They just used the same solution that was there when they got there. They never looked back at better solutions that would make their life easier and the lives of their employees much, much sweeter.
There is a lot of inertia in markets generally, not just our industry. But I think the other thing that comes out time and time again is the number of organizations that don't use any technology, who still rely on spreadsheets. I mean,
it's really amazing.
60-70% are using spreadsheets and not any technology.
Yes. Yeah. I know, just Excel sheets. So anyway, if so everyone who wants to know a little bit more about what is available in the market generally, and also to understand why I truly believe that the solution that we're offering is the best and also the easiest to implement, we do have a comparison session tomorrow, and we'd have more of them. So if the time is not convenient, let me know, and we can schedule a different time. And I'll send a link to the session in the comments, and we'll be looking forward to seeing people there in that session.
Brilliant. Okay, so thank you for that, Tally. We're now going to move on to talk about digital transformation. So thank you for your help. Everybody, you know how it works. We're going to bring on our special guests. I'm delighted to say we've got backstage, we've got Eric Halverson and Matt Chic, and we're going to be bringing them on to talk about digital transformation. And we've got some great case studies. So everybody, hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause buttons. Let's say a really good thank you to Tally for all the hard work she does, and a big welcome to Eric and to Matt. Hey, how you doing, guys? Where are you both today? Eric, where are you?
I'm in the San Francisco East Bay, Old Town San Leandro, at my house.
And Matt, where are you?
And I'm up in the San Francisco-ish North Bay at my family home in Napa.
So there we are. We're talking tech, and I'm talking to a couple of gurus from the Bay Area. This is looking good. This is looking promising. Okay, so we're talking digital transformation today. That's the theme, and we talked about it last week, not last week, 2 weeks ago as well. We talked about it. And in fact, we did a LinkedIn poll, and the poll question we asked was, do you think you could do more to automate your mobility program through technology? And I'd just like to ask the audience again what they think. Do you think you could do more to automate your mobility program through technology? Now, Eric, I mean, tell us a bit about yourself. I know you've had a very, very senior global mobility role in the Bay Area. So tell us a bit about yourself, because you're here as our face of the user.
Sure. So I've been dealing with mobility, I don't know, for probably 30 years. I started off in the tax area doing international taxes for the executives themselves, and then with a Big Four firm, and then joined eBay, as eBay was just a young company going international for the first time back in 2003, and I had the opportunity to essentially build the eBay mobility department from scratch, which was a great opportunity. They were just starting to send people, just starting to transfer people internally with hiring, and just starting to send people overseas. And I was able to get on and build the processes and the policies and kind of grow with the company from when I joined about 3,000 employees. It was about the same time we acquired PayPal. And over the years, grew to about 30,000 employees, doing about 2,000 moves a year. That was probably our high watermark. And it was a great ride. So I was with eBay for about 16 years. I retired in 2019. I had worked with establishing BAM. I was one of the founding corporate members of BAM, and retired in 2019, and just kept myself a little bit in the industry by agreeing to serve on the strategy council for Benivo as sort of the internal corporate rep, someone who can give an internal perspective as to what corporate people are looking for and what they're dealing with.
And it's great to have you on the show, and looking so great. Loving the cap. I gather you've got a whole collection of them, but this is your Wednesday cap, is it?
That's my Pebble Beach cap. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And in answer to that question, Brian, do you think you could do more to automate your mobility program through technology? I think no surprise here, but when we asked the question, 95% said yes, they think they could do more. Matt, what's your take on that? And tell us a bit about yourself, Max. So you're the other side here, of course. I mean, Eric is looking at it from a user side, and you're looking at it from the technology side, the provider side.
That's right. So this question is an easy tee up for me. I absolutely do think that, and have had and think it so much to have dedicated a very good chunk of my career to working on that problem. So I, unlike the route that Eric came into to mobility, I came into it directly from the technology side, and have been acquiring all of my knowledge of the sector, working with the Benivo team over the course of these last years, and most of that learning taking place working with our largest clients. So there is, like in every market, there's a spectrum of adoption and advancement out there. Some teams are actually, quite far ahead. Some have really done a lot. Others are really on the other end of that spectrum. But I think if we can make a fair average comment that there is just within, let's say, the HR tech sector, global mobility definitely has some room to catch up to other peers in HR for being able to work smarter, more efficiently, deliver a better technology-enabled experience, and working on that is something I'm very proud and happy to be doing with the Benivo team.
I must say, the only thing that surprised me with that survey is the 5% who didn't think they could do more, because, I mean, certainly I know from our perspective is we always feel that there's more that we can do. I mean, it is a continuous improvement. And in fact, I know we've got a new release coming out, which we're teasing people about at the moment, but we're going to be revealing in a couple of weeks' time, which we think is radically going to reshape certain aspects of everybody's job in global mobility. So we've got something very exciting coming up. But anyway, let's talk about the case studies. We talked about 3 case studies on the show last time. We talked about ways in which you can automate repetitive work. We talked about ways in which you can use technology to aid travel reconciliations. And we also talked about ways in which you can use technology to book corporate housing. So we had lots of great initiatives there. Today, we want to focus on a couple of other things. We want to talk about vendor management. We want to talk about VIP experience. And we want to talk about using technology for an end-to-end solution. So that's what we're going to get into. So let's maybe kick off with the first one. And these are all real case studies. Now, this first one is a tech unicorn. We can't release, in fact, probably a decathorn, if that's the right word. We can't release the names of the company, but Eric, maybe you can just start off telling us a little bit about this company and the problem that they were facing.
Yeah, well, the problem is one that we all face, and that's how do I know my vendors are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and how do I know that they're performing at the level that they've promised to perform at, particularly if I'm relying on them to report to me on their own behavior. How do I know if I've built SLAs into my contract that the SLAs are being met without having to dedicate all kinds of resources to tracking that? And then another important part is how do I stop from being surprised by negative things? How do I should know when a delay is coming. Can I know about that in advance as opposed to being surprised by it? The ability to identify issues before they become accusations, before they start trickling down from above. I need to have some kind of awareness as to what's going on, and that's I think what this company was focusing on particularly. How do I get more transparency, visibility, and real knowledge?
Yeah, because I think one of the issues that a lot of corporates face, and I think this is what you've been saying, Eric, is that there's a lack of visibility on managing vendors. You've got a whole bunch of vendors, they've got a whole supply chain, and yes, you've got SLAs in place, but you might meet with the vendor once a quarter, maybe once a month if you're lucky, maybe ad hoc if you're not that lucky. And they'll come and talk to you and you'll have a discussion about everything. But the problem is that when the proverbial hits the fan, it may not be the day that they're actually coming in. And all of a sudden you're scrambling around to find out what is the issue, what is the escalation. And you're not seeing it. And certainly you're not using it to predict as well. There's no data analytics in there. So this problem about how you get the visibility on what is happening down your supply chain, I think is a really important issue, especially for, how do I put this? Especially for global mobility managers who don't want bad surprises coming when it's somebody senior has escalated something. So Matt, tell us a bit about the solution then.
Would love to. So for this exact need, and this was really a priority for the company that we are talking about, we invested in building a piece of tooling on the platform called Benivo Trackers. And it is an ecosystem. It is a whole ecosystem feature. So that means that there is a tracker view for the employees. There's a tracker view aggregated in reporting for global mobility and HR teams. And there are, of course, interfaces for the service providers and the vendors that a company is working with to be getting that status data into the platform, all in a variety of different ways. I can cover that when we get in there. I'll show you a little bit of what this looks like. But what this really is chasing after, and you'll see the common thread through the other two case studies that we present, is the value of a single platform. So there's a lot of people involved in supporting moves, a different set of internal people and external parties, depending on what the policy is that is being executed on. What's common across all of it is that you're going to have more value. It's going to be easier to operate if you have all of your data in one place. And that is all of your data across all of the all of the service provider categories, and to the extent possible, as much internal data from recruitment and from the HR systems, and unite it all. So if we zero in on services and tracking those services, let's take a look at what the tracker functionality looks like to each party.
Okay, so before you share your screen, I'll just take one comment here. Maybe you can address this, Matt, and take it in your section as well. This is from Christina. I'd like to take this automation question to reporting. Does the reporting you receive from suppliers and RMCs, etc., meet the needs of your internal stakeholders, or are you spending time on polishing, piecing together, or completely reworking data into dashboards? And Christina, what we're going to show you now is how all of that can be automated. So that's precisely what we're talking about. So Matt, shall I share your screen then?
Yes, please. I'll minimize the stream window, and I'm going to go between a couple different tabs here. And yes, the answer to that question is that the reporting feeds in directly to
there we go. Yeah.
Feeds in directly to the platform. So so let's take a look. I'm going to show you a few things over the course of the show on our system, but for zeroing in on this discussion, we're going to look at service trackers. So right now, I'm an employee. I'm looking at my interface for my company. This would be branded as my company, of course, and I'm initiated to a certain policy. I have services on that policy, and I can do this on my phone or I can do it on the web. And what I see here is everything that I've been authorized for. And if I'm in a core flex policy, this might also be services that I've made a selection to get. And so for one, just off the top, you have a complete view of everything that's in progress for you. And you can click in and see where things are standing. So if I'm going to take a look at what's going to be happening across each milestone of my school search service, I can get a view of how this is going to roll out. Similarly, and this interface right here is the Benivo tracker. So at each milestone of service delivery, I have an estimation of how much time this is going to take. And I think also in part answer to that question that just came up, each one of these milestones is of course set with the service provider that is providing the service. So,
okay,
this
is the employee's perspective. We're going to go on to the employers in a moment, but this is right. What we call the Uber concept, that you can see in the same way that when you're ordering an Uber or when you're ordering that pizza for delivery, you can see where it is en route to getting to you. This is where the employee can see where they are in the process, so they are getting full visibility, and that in turn then relates through to the employer, the mobility manager. They can also track the process.
That's exactly right. So the information comes in real time to the platform, which means that everybody is operating from the same set of information. And again, you might see some, you see some provider names here in this example platform. It's just for illustration purposes. We do have an API built with Fragment, who you can see in this tracker example for visa support services. And the data can get in here by API. The data can get in here by or by just simply updating the status on an employee record on a vendor or a service provider and interface. So it can come in by API if it's there to do. We, of course, will pursue that at every extent possible, or it can just be manual updated. And so exactly like you said, the employee can see, for one, they can see a little visibility into the future. How long can I expect this to take, and what's going to happen at each point along the way? And then as my service progresses, I see where I've gotten to on the next step. So now that we've seen the employee view, let's take a look at what this can look like in aggregated fashion. So we'll stay on the immigration example, and we're going to go over to now the HR side of the platform, and we're going to look at the Benivo tracker report. So tons of analytics that you can do on a data set that comes into a single platform, focusing on the Benivo tracker report for immigration. And what I see here now is aggregated data across each one of those milestones. So I can see from step one, in this case, just getting in contact with the provider, into submitting documentation, all the way down to submitting it to the government and awaiting decision. Each one of these milestones has an SLA associated to it. and I can see how the average performance is at this step, and I can see in real time which cases are breaking the SLA. And we can produce notifications, to a client's preference at different moments along the time here. But what this is serving to do is to making sure that nothing can be tracking well behind and have it be, really not visible to anybody.
So if you are a mobility manager, and heaven forbid you get a message from your CEO or your boss at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night saying what's going on with such and such a situation, you don't have to say, well, let me check with the RMC, I'll get back to you on Monday. You can look on your phone, access the system, have real-time data, and respond immediately. So this is exactly where we are right here, right now.
I would say even one step better than that is that you ideally would never get that email in the first place, because you would have had a preemptive warning that something is tracking behind schedule, and you would be able to see very quickly who is in a bucket of people that are breaking an SLA, and then you can make a decision on what workflow is associated to that. You can always drill down to the names on this data, and you can decide how the sequence of events that happens afterwards. And, another call that you might get from a superior might be something along the lines of, we've just hired many people that need to cross a border and start work. How are we doing on start dates? And one thing that we've been able to back into on the back of these trackers is that, each achievement of a milestone indicates a probability of success that your start date is going to be met. And it's very helpful to be able to bucket cases that are off track. These are going to miss the start date, and we need to take an action here to work with the hiring manager and reset expectations, set a new date, perhaps redo a letter of agreement or an employment contract. And I also can see some cases that might not make it because of the milestone where they are. So this is particularly important for immigration, but many services in terms of delivery on milestones might impact where, when and how an employee can actually start work. So in the same way, you can have all that tracking and calculation happening on a platform for you automatically, and you can simply drill into where you need to go. And the final piece I'll stay on the aggregated trackers is that, or in the aggregated tracking, is that you can have multiple data sets feeding into these boards. And then you can drill down by a population that you might want to, specifically look at. So let's compare international hires versus new hires, or international transfers versus new hires. Or let me look up a specific person, or I want to segment this by citizenship. Or even if I have multiple immigration providers, I want to compare performance across each one of these metrics. So that is kind of a view into the benefit that you can achieve by consolidating all of your data onto a single platform and having the milestone data tracked.
Okay, so that's really, really helpful. So what we're saying is that you can have multiple vendors there, you can track them. I saw a question that came up that said, do you have a list of vendors with whom you have built APIs?
We do. Yes, we'd be happy to share that after the show.
And also, we always put in APIs in new cases as well. We're always keen to build them. Let me move on to the second case study, because we've got quite a lot to come through. And this was the company was a major healthcare provider, US-based major healthcare provider. So, Eric, why don't you tell us a little bit about this company and the problem that they were facing?
Yeah, well, this one's dear and near to my heart, because it has to do with the VIPs in the organization, your top level guys, the guys that it absolutely has to go right, or brings bad circumstances. And for them, they needed to have a whole move on view of the status of all the services with regards to these guys. And they had no centralized or coordinated status of tracking these people. And these are the employees, the top level employees that you have to know and be able to respond to at any time. Just like in the example you just gave, Brian, of getting the call at any time. Their big concern too is the personal security, the cybersecurity of the information on their senior people. They absolutely could not allow a data breach on these people. That was a concern. And the other thing about delivering services to these people is they're so time restricted, and their schedules are so unique that, you know, some want to get online and do it themselves at midnight. I worked with several executives. It was not uncommon for them to start their day at 3 a.m, go to the gym, check things while they were working out. And to be able to have an online system that would do that, clearly you couldn't call a consultant at 3 a.m. in the morning. But there's also needs where maybe the spouse needs to talk to somebody, or there's an issue that comes up with a sub vendor providing, and they need someone that they can talk to, as opposed to having to do a self search. So you basically had two needs. You had the need for them to be able to self serve, but you also had the need for them to have someone reliable to talk to if that was the way they wanted to go. So, and this was the case with this healthcare service provider. So what kind of tool can I have? How does digital transformation help me, solve the problem of dealing with VIPs?
Okay, so let's talk about VIPs. I mean, if I can say the most blindingly obvious thing of the day is VIPs are very important. So that is a given, and we also know, and I think you were saying it, Eric, is that these are the people that can get you fired. So
it's good to know who those people are.
Yeah, they're very important in every sense. Now, I think traditionally the thinking has been that a VIP gets a white glove service, and maybe the more junior people get more of a digital solution. But actually what we're seeing increasingly these days is actually the VIPs want both. It's not an or discussion, it's an and discussion. They want the white glove and they want the technology. They don't want to have to find, like you were saying, they're going to wait to get the response until the office opens or something. So Matt, just tell us about the solution that we built for this major healthcare provider of how to manage VIPs.
Well, the solution achieves exactly what we're describing here to be the most critical thing. So you need the common thread that we see across being able to deliver well on VIP moves is that you need to optimize for their time, and you need to empower the HR teams to have a whole view on all the data, all the statuses associated with that move, so that they are empowered to be as on top of it as possible. Because as Eric said, these are the moves that you really want to make sure everything goes absolutely perfectly. And it is impossible to do that if you do not have a single platform to operate from, with everyone who is playing a role in supporting these moves. So I'll start with looking at a few key components of a solution for VIPs from the employee perspective. And I'm going to start with just a quick note on the importance of protecting those people's information. So, if you are a high-profile individual within your company, and
I haven't got your screen. I'm trying to share your screen here. It's not coming up.
There it is. You are going to be sensitive to the information that you are putting out into the world, and in an equal statement, the company is also very concerned with your private information being extremely well managed. So there are a variety of solutions for this on the market, but they tend to be process-based, kind of box ticking questionnaires. They're not regularly updated in terms of looking down a supply chain and understanding how data is managed, how data is erased, what the security protocols are within all of the teams, and there's many layers to it in the world of global mobility. So we decided to take a technology focus on this, and I'll illustrate one piece that gets very good feedback, especially with regards to the management of personal information, which is if you want to be very, very secure, the best way to do it is never to disclose it in the first place. And so a piece of our solution begins with actually all of authorizations out to service providers are protecting the personal information, contact information of an employee, which means that their private details are never exposed. So even in the event that the company that went and took the video survey that had all of the goods, there for an estimation of what needed to be shipped, even if that information is subsequently hacked or stolen, what actually is breached is the personal data is broken up It is alias information that you can just cancel, and you can protect the individual's privacy. So this for VIPs is a highly valued component of operating out of the Benivo platform, because they know upfront they're being less exposed, and the company knows upfront that they are being exposed, therefore to less risk from the corporate side. Now, the second piece for employee experience, I'm going to bucket under the aspect of removing layers. So as a VIP, there are some things that I want done for me, and there's some things that I just want to get done myself, because that's actually going to be the fastest way to do it. So for example, I'm probably going to be getting home search as a VIP. And what I can do, instead of having a back and forth with a certain party to understand the basic data that I'm looking for, is simply to input it very quickly, give them a profile of what I'm looking for, and get my booking underway. This would be for a home search for permanent accommodation. And as we presented on in the previous Benivo Bites, we can also have directly accessible solutions, such as with Alta Vida, to directly book temp accommodation myself. If I'm a person who, I've been booking travel for my whole career, I just want to look at a few places and make a decision. Or the consultant who is assigned to help my move, who I can see the whole team that is on board to help me right here in the My Move key contacts. Maybe one of my temp housing contacts is actually going to be the booking agent for me, and I can just submit my preferences to them and have them completed on my behalf. What is helpful for me as a VIP here is that everything is in one place, one app, all built for my move, with everybody accessible to me in only one place, and I'm communicating with all of them using private information. So I can simply book, rather than having people chase me and try to get in touch, I can simply book a time that works for me and be in control of my calendar and how and when I want to engage with people. Now,
okay, and I think, Matt, we need to move on to our third case study. So let's just finish this one up, and then we'll just move on to the third case study.
Okay, and then so I just wanted to switch the perspective over into HR again and talk about the importance for, I have a VIP move here. I need all of my information consolidated in one place. I need to see everything about the vendors that have been initiated. I need to be able to see the status tracking on those. If I need to add a service, I need to be able to do it very quickly. I can just toggle a button and initiate a new service. And this empowers me to be very proactive and fast at being able to get things done for my move, rather than getting lost in too many phone calls and too many email chains. I also have a full system here for tracking documents, sending them for digital signature, making all of the administration of this move a fast and easy process.
Okay, so I mean, that's amazing that what we can do there with the technology for the VIPs. And then we've got a third case study. So Eric, tell us a bit about this company and what their issues were.
Well, this is sort of like this company that was kind of looking for the holy grail of relocation management. They wanted one platform, one way to better manage all of their program in one place. They needed a solution for the global mobility team to manage all the daily work. They needed a solution for employees to be able to manage through their core flex policy. They wanted a solution, again, like for vendor management. And basically, what is the best way for me to manage? What is the easiest way for me to manage my program? The program is growing. It's like, trying to herd cats. How do I get my arms around this thing?
Okay, so they're looking for one tool for all their mobility needs. So, Matt, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes to do this. So this is going to have to be a really fast one to a big. But the solution, I believe, is obviously to use technology to create an end-to-end solution. So why don't you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, and to join those 3 needs that Eric just covered. So they need a tool for their team to manage the internal work. They need a tool for coordinating work with vendors, making that a streamlined, fast, and easy process. And they also, in this particular case, we can talk about this client. We've done case studies with them publicly. We're referencing the Wayfair implementation. They were rolling out CoreFlex policies, and so they needed an engine to be able to manage those CoreFlex policies and have employees do the selection process and pick what they need. And so these are all things that we can do out of the Benivo platform for each of those parties involved. So let's start with taking a look at managing the internal work and get a quick view on that. And we're going to look at some highlights of the CoreFlex policy design, or CoreFlex policy management right after that. So I'm back over here in the management platform for HR teams. I have a full system of records with everything I need. We just looked at the employee view. And what I'll give a preview on here, not going through the whole process for time, but just to show how I can define in CoreFlex view who are going to be my core vendors, who are going to be the flex services. So these are the ones that the employer says you get this no matter what. Here are the choices that I'm going to give to the employee. And I can also add any custom one-off benefits, something that has been discussed and agreed in advance. I manage all my documents in this process, including signing everything that needs to be signed before the move is actually initiated. And I do that all in one flow that gets a live case into my system that then I can, of course, continue to track and update notes on. If I need to add services or add a finance product, I can do it all within one management dashboard. All of my service providers and vendors see the same thing on their end, and the process for getting those initiations, updating on a status, submitting invoices, getting paid is all seamless and happening from one channel. Now, so let's now jump over to have a look at the employee view. I'm going to focus here on two things. I'm going to show what making selections in CoreFlex looks like. I'm going to look at some of the payment features because they needed end-to-end everything out of one solution. So they want to both be able to pay vendors, they want to be able to reimburse expenses, they want to be able to get money to employees, and provide all of the settling in, kind of basic duty of care that we are also providing in our platform, with the benefit of insights from other employees who have done these moves in the past. So this little icon right here means that a data point or a review has come from an employee who has done this before me. And let's take a look at that concept applied to making a decision about what benefit I'm going to take in my CoreFlex policy. So here I've already been at it a little bit. I was assigned 400 points. I've already used 61 of them, checking out services that I wanted, and I can see the services that I already checked out right here. I wanted getting help assembling furniture. I have a pet that needs traveling, and I'm moving with my family, so I'll need school search and placement. So I selected those, and now I'm back for my second run at it. And hold on a second, I do need some transport from the airport, so I'm going to get taxi credits. Only 9% have selected this, but maybe I'll start encouraging. I'll see how it is, how it works for me, and I might encourage others to do the same. I'm also going to value home flight visits. So I'm going to add that to my basket, and I can get a little more information on it right here. I am feeling proficient with the language of the country that I'm moving in for, but perhaps I want to consider getting this for a family member. So I might add this. And I can review these other items now or later, and I can keep checking out on my services. So all I need to do in my buying experience is confirm that these are the ones I want. I hit confirm, off they go to get authorized, and I'm in that way designing and in control of my move. Also in control, the controls that I have here are my employer allowing me to solve all of my finance problems. So I can both get my relocation allowance, I just follow this flow, and I say to the system how I want to receive those $5,000. And as I incur expenses, I can just upload them here. I get immediately reimbursed as long as my expense qualifies in the policy. The system checks it all automatically, creates all the reporting automatically for the HR teams, and gives a central management center for each party involved in the move.
Cool. Let's just bring you guys back. I mean, so we've talked about 6 case studies over the last couple of weeks. We've had 3 today, and there's so much more in all of these. It's been an absolute blast talking, and thank you to everybody in the audience. Let's just bring back Julia and Tally. So the gang is all here. And thank you all, everybody. As I said, we've got this comparison session tomorrow. If anybody's interested, do follow that link or go onto the website and book in. We'd love to see you all tomorrow. We're back next week when we're going to be talking about personalized reward and the future of work. So we've got some real genuine thought leadership coming in from a very, very innovative and exciting company called Uflex Reward. Sean Lutchins will be joining us next week. So very, very exciting. Thank you all. It's been great having everybody on the show, our guests, our audience. We're back next week. So everybody have a great week and take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.